you watch a movie on your television screen, when you watch a movie on your television screen,
Chill.
Hello, all of our friends, and welcome to VFX and Chill. I am Hashi, and over here is one of my co-hosts, Seth.
Hey.
And hidden in this file system over here is our other co-host, Michael Zalapsky.
Hello. Hi.
Everybody, welcome to VFX and Chill. A couple of weeks ago, we covered some Ghostbusters effects, specifically a few ideas from this new Ghostbusters Frozen Empire movie that is going to come out in a little while. But we had a few streaming issues, and we're still trying to battle them a little bit. But we had more interesting stuff that we wanted to talk about, specifically different ways to freeze things, from simple surface frost spreading to chaotic ice flows and, or not ice flows, ice spikes and ice building up on structures and things like that. There's a lot of different effects going on here, and we would love to talk about them today, and we didn't get a chance last time. And then we said we would be back next week, forgetting that it was a holiday in the States. So thank you so much for waiting around and sticking in there with us for this exciting continuation of some Frozen effects.
And that's our show. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. No, just kidding.
But Michael, Seth, how are you two doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Trying to get some displays back that I had and that are now gone.
Excellent. Always good to do. We are, let's see. We are trying to figure out... I am seeing a notification that YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming.
That doesn't make sense at all.
That may not be true. I just saw saw that thing. So please, if you're in the chat, do let us know if if you're having trouble watching us or anything like that. And if not, just jump in and join on either way.
You know what we should do? What I'd like to do is I'd like to do a quick motion test just to make sure the stream is working. Here we go. Motion test. Everyone move around. All right, I'm seeing it on the feed, so I feel like it's working.
Excellent. Yes, we have that little technical issue that we would really like to murder, but we're trying to work through it right now. But anyway, looking at these really cool effects, I love that there are several things going on here, and that this shot is a particularly slow one. There's sort of a frost spreading effect, and as we mentioned last week, there are a handful of cool tutorials that we have available already that are kind of dialed in about frost effects and things. Totally. And Michael even recreated a really cool frost pattern last week that you can do especially well because of one of the new trap code particular features, which allows you to generate a stroke behind your particles instead of having to
it's one of my favorite things that's been added in particular. Like, it's just, everyone has always made trails behind particles, and you always have to do that fight to get the particle count right without overloading the system, and it's just a pain. And now you just have that one little button and it does it automatically at render time, so it's just way faster to work with and it looks better. Like, it's so good, but it also works really nice for the frost effect. So yeah, check out last week's episode for how it did that one. I also did a really quick cheaty one using the CC film burn effect. So a couple different, like a more complicated frosty window with particular, and then a really fast growing frost effect with CC film burn. Two different ways to make growy frost stuff. But I think, Hashi, you've got a really, really cool technique you've been working on that to get this, I think.
I have been playing around
and everything
with some stuff. Let me let's see. I'll share my screen here. So I don't have anything super dialed in yet, and I think that we're going to try to discover some of this along with you. I'm trying to figure out how to see where I just want to be able to see our stream. Okay, my screen's up there. So this is lousy looking right at the moment, but this was a little thing that I was experimenting with. Let me show you this first test. This first test was a just figure out if I could grow something kind of along this
Today we have a really decent show.
ground plane. Whoops.
Sorry about
Is this
that.
one cut off? Oh no, here it goes. I don't know why that was cutting off. So this was an experiment in trying to do some kind of a frosty effect that grows up onto a structure like that. There's still definitely some stuff that could get better. And then I was starting to get ambitious and ended up not finishing it this morning, working on a more different version that would have a few different elements that are right now just slap comped together of like these little spikes growing up out of the ground, kind of in concert with a spreading frost effect. So
Nice.
that's one of the things we're going to talk about today. And now that I've learned a little bit more, maybe I can figure out how to do it even betterer than I'm doing it here.
Betterer.
Betterer.
Still pretty cool. Better. I hardly know her. So I think so like you said, we got the slow ice, we got slow frost and ice spikes. We've got fast ice spikes, which I feel like you can just do those for us, guys. You know exactly how we'll do this. Just make a little spike. You can do this with 2D spikes flying up through the air, grab some action VFX or production crate, dust hits, and ground bursts, and just do them. Just do it. Just go ahead and do it.
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll do a little bit of that. Why not? But another thing I was going to explore doing, I have not done any prep for what I was thinking about doing, which was something I need to quickly look up online. And that is something you've been working on, Hashi. It's something truly special.
Something truly special. We have so many people here on the Maxon training team that we are collaborating with to do a bunch of different projects. Today, we're going to talk about this growing ice effect, and we're going to share a link with you from this great tutorial that Jonas Pils did on motion tracking, and he was specifically growing crystals on the surface of something that he filmed, which is very, very similar to what we'll be doing today. And one of the other very talented artists over
The link to that is in the chat, by the way.
Perfect. And the training team is Ian Robinson, who, if you're a fan of Pixelogic, you've seen lots of Ian's amazing sculpts. And we figured that we'd been using the same old, like I would say nearly like extinct model of a Velociraptor head for a long time. And we thought that it was high time that we were able to update that and actually work with an asset that was our very own, built in-house. And so that brings us to, let's see, I don't know if you have it, if you've been opening it up. That.
Which is pretty cool, Hosh. It's a pretty killer looking model with some pretty killer textures. But even more killer is this Moves by Maxon facial capture stuff you've got going on here. I don't want to spend the whole episode breaking this down because it'll be the whole episode. But
it'll easily become a whole episode.
What I would like to do, I have not opened up this new asset yet at all. So I would like to open it up and maybe mess around with it and find a clip from Ghostbusters to raptorize. Because it's been a while since I've raptorized something. We've kind of hit a lull. We got a little discouraged when our account got hacked, and we kind of took a little break from it to work on other things. And I want to get back to it. I want to play with this model. So I'm going to be making some Ghost Raptors? Raptor Busters? There's not really a...
Ghost Raptors.
Ghost... Sure, it works. So that's what I'm going to do on the little show today.
That sounds amazing. And I am going to sort of step through some of the things that Jonas does in that tutorial that is in the linked chat and show a little bit how you could do a freezing effect over some geometry. And it's kind of a lot of fun.
Nice.
Excellent.
Do you want
to start? You want to start?
I can start. I just have not opened. I have not opened this file. So why don't you guide me? Just show our viewers.
All right.
If our viewers were on our Dropbox, where would they find? Oh, let me.
So they would just navigate to like.
Can you see my open screen? No, you cannot. Can you?
Hang on, real quick. There's a question in the chat about moves by Maxon. Can you point the phone at a screen to grab real actors' performances?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Can, and it's awesome.
Now it works better if you.
The only thing that's weird is it's the front-facing camera for the face.
Yeah.
Capture, and you can't like switch it to be the back camera, and so you have to you're turning around your phone and pointing it at that screen. But let me see if I can find. Maybe I should just pull up the video. I must have it in here. Let's see, VFX and Chill Raptor assets.
Remember I discovered, I figured that out one night. You were messing around with the old Raptor, and I was watching Shark Tank with my family at the time, and I just opened up Moves by Maxon and just turned it toward Mark Cuban, and it started tracking his face, and I was just like, I didn't have time to dive into it, but I just immediately got on Slack and was like, pointing at a screen.
Oh my gosh. And I think that immediately upon that, I did this probably that same night.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm not porting the audio through, which is kind of a drag, but here we go. We've got. So even though her head is cropped and stuff like that, it got it
so
pretty
funny.
well. So this is our old Raptor. This was the Raptor that we had, and in a way, it became very much a specific character that we were using a lot. I felt very close with this Raptor. It's been seen millions of times online, done some really cool stuff, but there were some weird janky things about it. Like it has an inverted normals map that you actually can't unwrap properly the way they made it. So you have to pick what region of the Raptor you want to have a normals map, which is basically like a cheat to show how light is hitting each little section or whatever. And also, it's kind of game model-y, like if you look at it. I think that our compositing and tracking jobs but with Raptors have been good enough that the quality of this never came into question as much.
Yeah, as it says in the compositing Bible, supercomp covers a multitude of sins.
Absolutely. So, Seth, were you able to find in our Raptor folder, there's under the Raptor assets,
he's got it. There it is.
Found it.
I will say there's some suggestions, Seth, in the chat for things to Raptorize. There's suggestions for a Bill Murraptor and a Dan Ackraptor in the chat.
It's funny because I feel like there's this thing with Raptors where there's the a hat on a hat principle where if someone is a genuinely funny comedic performer or it is a comedy, replacing them with a Raptor is not nearly as good as replacing Adam Driver in
100%.
Marriage Story.
The more intense the drama, the better the Raptor.
Oh yeah,
Abraham
especially if they're
Lincoln
looking into each other's eyes. Yeah.
Oh, do me a favor, Seth. Crash the stream by going to your viewport settings.
Oh God. Oh God.
Just actually preferences.
Preference. Oh, it's here, isn't it? No. Cinema 40 preferences.
What are you trying to direct him to do?
I know what he's doing. Viewport display, viewport hardware.
Viewport hardware.
Default resolution. What do you want me to put it to?
I'll just put it at 4K or something like that.
4K. Boom. And
there we go. I just wanted.
Stream broke.
I just wanted people to see that. I don't know if the normal map is linked, but that this Raptor, which by the way, let me open up the. I'll open up the full Ian Raptor.
Oh yeah, let me reconnect the things. Hold on.
We
promise we're going to be doing Ghostbusters effects here in a little bit.
There's always
playing with dinosaurs.
There's always time for dinosaurs.
Always. I think the normal map's
like a Yeah, it's like going over to your friend's house. Like you're excited to play Ghostbusters. You brought your proton pack, but like, oh man, I got this new Velociraptor.
I really want some scientist person to explain to us how they blinked. Like, do we have the blinking right? If you know any scientists who've studied raptor blinks, let us know, please.
Or time travelers.
We'll take time travelers if we must.
Hashi, I've got some kind of asset that's labeled no bitmap in my asset inspector. Do you have any idea what that would be?
No bitmap.
In parentheses. I don't know. It says
I'm assuming it's just missing. It might have been the Moves by Maxon app. I mean, Moves by Maxon temp textures that were in there.
Okay.
That would be my guess, because sometimes the way they import is to like a central directory. Right. Unless you do the option to copy them over. Anyway.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to export just an OBJ of just this right here, this one frame. Perfect. So I have something to work with for just temping up something. I'm going to find a good Ghostbusters clip. No animation. And
by the way, Seth, we're only seeing the Cinema 4D screen. We are not seeing any of the pop-up screens.
I know.
There is a question in the chat from Andrew Smith wondering where the feathers are on this raptor, and the answer to that question is shut up. No, we're basing it off of the movie versions, not the latest scientific research.
Yeah, we're all about scientific research here on VFX and Chill.
If you want to cut to my screen for a second, I wanted to share that you can see these on Pixelogic / Maxon's live streams, that Ian Robinson did this full original sculpt for us. So it is actually a full...
He went full raptor.
He went full raptor.
Which is great.
I mean, this is amazing. And I was like, thank you, Ian. This is incredible. I'm just going to quickly do a little like...
delete all. Thanks for all of your hard work. Delete all.
I forgot I'm still in this. This is so much higher quality than we've ever had before to work with.
Thank you. I'm just gonna.
He painted the whole thing.
And so we got some really cool like substance painter normal maps and things like that. But then I went through this weird, tedious process of trying to kind of unwrap the raptor and then unwrap him.
Unwrap the wrap.
Oh, real quick, there is a question in the chat. Is there Outjogging Pictures is asking, is there a tutorial on how you set up the model to work with the Moves by Maxon app? And I think the answer to that is...
I'm working on it right now.
Follow Red Giant on your social media so you find out the second it drops. Or ideally, you could subscribe using the bell on this app called YouTube.
And then you'll see on your phone this little thing that says like how to Moves by Maxon stuff. Check it out.
But yeah, Outjogging Pictures, hop over to the Red Giant YouTube channel. Make sure you follow, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And when that tutorial drops, you'll be the first to know.
Absolutely. We did have an episode where I think that the thumbnail for a while, like originally we were going to have my family members on to talk about action movie kids, and then everybody was sick. And so we ended up mostly talking about Sinead O'Connor and Velociraptors. I can't imagine if that were what always happened on these streams. But I think on that episode, our thumbnail is Sinead O'Connor and a Velociraptor, and we go over how it is set up in case you're really eager to see some of that information. But I'm going to make something more comprehensive because Moves by Maxon is just hidden in here, and it can be pretty powerful. Anyway, shall we, while you get your Raptor prepped, let me open up some things that I was working on over here. So let's see. Today we are in our Ghostbusters Frozen Empire Strikes Back. And I think that I have some little pre-baked things that I want to share. So all right. So I went outside earlier to my neighborhood and just filmed a little like walking along the street plate. I sort of had in mind that I wanted to do a car that gets raised up by spikes, and so I do a bit of a tilt up at the end. And starting here, I wanted to be able to figure out how to make something grow all over the surface of this. And so I did a couple of weird things to kind of combine and make this all work out. So one of the first things that I used was the motion tracker in Cinema, where you add a motion tracker object, which is right up here. You can even go to the whole tracking interface, one of the new tracking interfaces, which has a bunch of controls on it here. I believe that Seth covered some of these in a solo episode. But the idea is you add a motion tracker object, and then you have the ability to load in a piece of footage, and then to do a 2D track.
That was my Lonely Boy episode.
Lonely Boy episode. You 2D track a bunch of features on it, and once the 2D track is done, then you do a 3D solve, which sort of takes all that information and tries to, resolve a camera track from them. And that next step, I have these all saved out because they some of them take longer to actually work out. Let me see. I think this is the one. Or I've at least done a little bit more. Oh, here's a little bit more stuff. So in here, I now have everything is motion captured. And I'm looking through the wrong camera. Solved camera. Yeah, there we go. You can see now you can place 3D things in the scene and all of that good stuff. I'm paraphrasing a lot because I feel like we've covered this before, so I'm not getting super detailed into it. But one of the things that we didn't specifically do before is something that I ended up doing for this, which is I used Polycam to do a scan of this area. And Polycam is an app. I think that there is, I don't remember if it's I think that I did a one-time subscription something for it. I don't remember exactly how it works. Do you remember, Seth?
One more time? Sorry, I'm looking at Ghostbusters clips.
No, all good. Do you remember how Polycam works for pricing or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
I think I paid for it once.
It's like $15 or something a year or something like that.
That sounds right.
That's not reliable, though, but it's something like that.
Yeah.
And it rules, and it's worth it.
It's very, very cool.
It's worth it for stuff, not just like this. It's worth it for when I moved into this house, I polycammed every room, and I knew I immediately had measurements of every room and knew how to plan like furniture and moving and everything for it. I know like gaffers and ACs who will like use it to map out like their lighting like setup for various setups and remember it for reshoots and stuff. It's pretty great.
It is pretty great because you really just turn on the camera, walk around and look at a bunch of stuff, and it has a really nice interface to sort of show what it's recording and how much it has. And so right after filming my plate, I just sort of went back and generally walked around the space to sort of get a bit of what this layout looks like, which is pretty cool. And then I was telling Seth and Michael earlier, it's always just a very fun treat that as soon as you have done that, it means that you will have, sorry, I'm opening up so many different copies of this. It's because I was trying a million different things to try to learn how it works. This one that I've opened up is something that Cinema has the ability to do, which is just from the piece of footage, try to extract some geometry.
Yeah, and this can work really well depending on the scene and how you shot it. Sometimes it's not, if you're working on a visual effects scene, it's not a bad idea to take a camera and on purpose walk around with this kind of workflow in mind. That to kind of walk around and point the camera up and down to kind of give it enough information to really give you a good scene construction. Again, if you don't have Polycam, this is a great way to do a scenery construction. And again, Hashi mentioned that series with Jonas Pills, and that link is once more in the chat in case you missed it earlier.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a really great example of how to do that. So this is one option that I had, and the other option that I had was to take that Polycam model that I had and tried to kind of align it with this. And so let me open up that.
And which
Let's see.
Ghostbusters is it that the Titanic arrives? Is that 2? He's
Yeah,
saying
it's
the
2. That's 2.
Titanic just arrived. Okay, yeah, it's 2.
So great. Okay, so here, oh man, let me see, I want to delete some of these steps because I just want people to get to see it. Growth plane.
Sweet growth plane, coming for to carry
I feel like
me home.
Don't say over this file. Let's delete things.
Okay, I'm going to hide some of these other things for the moment. So sorry, I feel so disorganized after doing so much prep.
I'm just watching.
So here we go. Basically, I have my tracked camera. I'm going to hide. Oh, let me hide the thing that I'm about to do. So here's my tracked camera, and I brought in this Polycam model, and you can see as I turn that on and off, it aligns pretty decently with the footage. And what's nice about that is it means that now I technically have geometry here sort of within the scene. And so I could do something like, let me open up my first version of this one. It's just barely tracked.
Just tumble a bunch of balls around, or bouncing balls in the scene or something.
Exactly. I should start closing some of these other projects.
To be actorizing raptors. Now back to you.
We've only
Michael,
done
for a
one.
real show.
We only have one actorized raptor video so far.
That's the switcheroo, right? The Muldoon switch.
That is.
Well, the
filmed.
suggestions are like
I forgot
Anthony Raptor, Robert Raptor Downey Jr., Michael Raptor, Julia Raptor. But
Julia
my favorite
Raptors
one
is absolutely the one we're doing.
My favorite one is Chris Raptor. But I mean,
Chris
no one here
Pratt.
likes Chris.
That's not true. People like Chris Pratt. Go watch Parks and Rec and tell me you don't like Chris Pratt.
Nobody likes Chris Pratt.
I am.
Hey, I will defend
I'm
Chris
just
Pratt.
kidding. We all love Chris Pratt.
Where is Justin Leduc commenting?
In the thing. Oh, Seth, I can't pop the things up, by the way. You need to redo the link, apparently.
Oh, I realize. I guess I'm watching it.
Have you shared that with me? You have.
I have.
1 second.
I'm doing it again.
No, I saw it. Here we go.
Michael Powlek points out that no one associates Chris Pratt with dinos, though. So,
just with Mario and Garfield and.
I still haven't seen the Mario movie. Both my kids have seen it, and I still haven't.
Oh, it's great. It's
Did
exactly
we
what a
talk
Mario movie
last
should have
week
been.
or in the last episode about Bill Murray being cast in Garfield? Did I talk about
Yes.
that? Good.
Yes.
I feel like I talked about it
if you
somewhere.
want to hear Seth's thoughts or Seth's anecdote that
Not
he
mine.
overheard,
Just one I heard online.
Justin Luke says Chris Pratt peaked on Parks and Rec. His acting perhaps, but his physical form perhaps not. Well, of course, everyone likes Chris Pratt. There's a lot of Chris's in the world to like.
Let me tell you something.
Yes.
All the Chris's are wonderful, and the Mad Max the Furiosa trailer from yesterday, which we will not speak of anymore on this episode, for reasons that will come to light. There's a Chris in that one
next week.
And it reminded me how freaking great that Chris is too. We're fans of Chris's here on the show, if it's not clear.
We love Chris Pine. I wish he were mine. He's always on my mind. Chris
Pratt and
Pine.
Hemsworth and all the other ones. Anyway,
So here on my screen, I have here's the Polycam model. I'm just doing it in line mode here, so you can sort of see the way that it lines up. And just like Michael was saying, it's really great because you can have an object like this, and let's see, you could just add. Oops, let me move into this mode, and let's see, what do I do to make it a? Let's see. Here's the geometry that has the house on it and everything, but I don't want that actual texture, so I'm just going to delete all of these things right here. Whoops. All of the material and settings. And then I'm going to go over to I think in standard mode, in my material window, I can say create, and then under classic materials, I'm going to create a new shadow catcher material. And then there's a shadow catcher material, and I can drag that right onto onto this surface. And so
there are ways to make shadow catchers in Redshift and other renderers as well.
There are. Whoops, I forgot that in this one I haven't made a background object to render the footage, and I can do that by clicking on my motion tracker and then going here to footage and then saying create a background object. And it won't look any different right away.
Freaky Weather is suggesting that you want Christmas. Yes, we do. Moss Chris.
Nailed it.
See, wait, what am I... Wait, I'm doing something weird or wrong.
Well, you've got the geometry in the scene, so you're not going to be able to see anything past that geometry. Unless you hide it from the viewport by making the top traffic light red. So it will still render if you wanted it to, but it won't be obscuring things in your viewport.
Just a little reminder, I have this scene. I went outside and did a polycam capture of it, and so now I have this nice mesh that really pretty closely aligns with the reality of everything. And when that had its textures on, like the textures can be helpful in case you want to grab some little elements or like break up some ground or something. But in the meantime, what I decided to do, I'll do the whole process from scratch on it real quick. So here is the geometry. It's not great, but you can see that it aligns pretty well. But I'm going to go over to, since I used the motion tracker object to get all of this going in the first place, and I also, from the motion tracker under footage, I said create a background object. It means that I now have the background object, which is showing my footage in the background, even when I do like a quick render preview of it like this. And also it means that down in my materials, I will have one material at least that is labeled, video. And that's basically the video file that's going to feed the background here, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to take this video file and I'm going to drag it onto the geometry. And it's going to look wonky at first because this isn't how it's supposed to work. But if I then go to not the material, but my actual geometry over here, I'll click on the material tag right here. And instead of the UV mapping, I'm going to go right to the properties and say, projection, I want it to be camera mapping. And that also will look silly at first because I haven't told it what camera to map from. So let's go back to the material tag and say, which camera? I want you to use the solved camera from the motion tracker. I'm going to place it in here. And I'm also going to remind it that my film aspect ratio, this one gets me sometimes, was 16:9. It's filmed right off an iPhone. So I'll change the aspect ratio, and now I'll press play, and it'll look like kind of nothing is happening. But something really cool is actually happening because the camera is projecting the texture of the video onto this geometry. So if I switch out of my solved camera to the default camera, look at this fun kind of view. Let's see. I'll do this. I'm going to hide the background for a second. And now here is my mesh.
Nice.
And it's not being textured from Polycam. It's being textured by the video frames. And so if I press play on the video, watch this. It's this. I feel like I want to use this effect for something.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
I think Alex McDowell used it a bit it's like slightly in Minority Report and slightly in Jumper. They were doing a bunch of experiments like this. It's a very like Michel Gondry. Like you could like film footage and then light remap it from a projector onto your
very
footage.
Michel Gondry.
Very cool. So now it means that I actually have in viewport a really nice way to, let's switch back to the solved camera, turn the background back on, and now I can press play, and it just looks like I have the footage here. But if I were to add like a sphere, look at that, the sphere's sitting right in the geometry, which is cool. It's interacting with the placeholder geometry, which has the footage projected onto it. So this would be a really fun way to do like Look at this. Like you could do a little like force field explosion situation with this. Like I love that. Like look at that. It interacts with the garbage cans and stuff like that.
I just want to dump a bunch of dynamic spheres from above the camera and just have them all bouncing off the road. Like I always just want to drop dynamic spheres into shots when I do something like this.
It really is.
The great thing is the material is of what we're seeing from the camera is on the model. So if you put a reflective materials on there, they'd be reflecting the environment around them and everything. Like it's so much fun.
It's so great.
Frank B. Chillweather says this is like our own version of the Las Vegas sphere. Indeed. Actually, I think. People have been using a lot of our tools on the sphere, and we may be able to talk about that at some point.
Cinema 4D renders on there.
On the Cinema 4D on that sphere, and Red Giant stuff too.
In fact, you know what we need is let's go over here to texture. Let's load up, let's see, this week's renders. How about we grab this? No need to make a copy of this over here. Let's just drag this new texture onto the sphere. It's going to be perfectly justified. I know it. So let's see. Let's adjust the length and the height. Here we go. So now we've got our very... let's mess with the reflectance a little bit. This is what we're doing right now, is we're just going to do...
I want to see ice spikes at some point. I do want to see ice spikes and a car getting hoisted upon the petards over the ice, but in the meantime...
Wait, oh no, I wanted to play. Which means I have to go to the color channel and then say... Since I grabbed an MP4, I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to say animate preview. Oops. Animation, exact frame, and then on the shader, let's see, where is it that I need to tell it to actually play? Don't I need to say...
Go back to animation tab.
Okay, so it's this texture,
animation, and then the button at the bottom.
I thought there was like, there's a checkbox? Shader, animate. Animate, no. There's an animate preview thing somewhere in here.
Hit play and see what happens.
Boo. Okay, wait, is it just back in here? Basic.
Forget where it's
color at. Channel, color, Oh, maybe it's...
Making me launch Cinema to figure it out.
Oh, here it is. Viewport, animate
There
preview.
You go.
So you go to whatever property has the video in it, go to its viewport settings and say to animate the preview. So now we can have our very own Las Vegas sphere. I feel like this could absolutely go on the Vegas sphere. They need some Ghostbusters content. It's like a big thing in the middle of a city.
With our logo, 100%.
Like we'll give this to you guys. Let's call up,
we
let's
own
call
the
up
rights.
people in the Vegas contingent and ask for them to put us in touch. But in the meantime, since we got to make some calls to get our stuff on the Vegas sphere, let's see what we could do with motion tracked geometry like this. If you wanted to do some kind of a cool crystal growth explosion thing. There's so many band names that could come out of me describing what we're about to do.
Crystal growth explosion. It's really difficult.
Crystal growth explosion.
Immediately.
It's an amazing band, and we'll get you felony charges in Arizona. There's no comment on anything specifically. Arizona, you're wonderful. All right. So here's what. Just resetting a bit. Today's been a lot.
Yes, it has.
It has. But thank you all for coming back to see what we're up to. I am going to grab this geometry right here, and then I'm going to go over to mesh brushes. Oh, not mesh brushes. Tools. Paint tool. That's what I would like. And I want to kind of production design some ice growing onto this thing. And what's really great about this is that it's stupidly simple. So let me see what display mode I'm in. I'm in the right one. All right, if I go to an alternate camera view for a second, I can sort of see that my camera starts back here, and I sort of want the ice to overtake the camera and move this way. So I'm just grabbing the tool, paint tool, And now that I'm in polygon mode, I don't know if I need to be, but with the geometry selected and the paintbrush, I'm just going to say, paint a little thing right there. And then I'll paint a little like lightning squiggle right here.
Paint a little lightning squiggle.
Another one right there. So as soon as I click out of that, you won't see it anymore, but it has all been stored right here as little vertex map tag. And so these are very useful because they you can use them to like influence how a cloth will tear or so many other things. It's in Cinema 4D, it is a universal weight map that can be used for any of the physics, anything. But one really fun thing about it is if you click on the tag itself, you can go down here and check, let's use fields for this one. And it'll convert that, the frozen like paint effect that you did right here. And if I scroll down a little bit, you can see that the radius of my brush is stored in here, which is kind of cool. And if I click on this freeze object, I can, instead of just a standard mode, I can switch to grow. And what grow will do is press play. Look. Look at that, Seth. Did you know you could just do that?
I did not know you could just do that.
There's just that's it. No keyframes, no anything. I just say grow. And if you want, I can go back to the solved camera view and I can press play and I can sort of watch the way this freezing unfolds from the camera perspective. Isn't that awesome?
It is very awesome.
So great. And because we can use fields in here, Jonas, I'm regurgitating many of the tips that Jonas teaches more eloquently. But over here, you can...
Yes, PJ, it's really live. Deal with it. Sorry, I need to
really live.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we had planned like a pre-recorded live stream that cuts out like 4 times? Just to really convince people.
And for those who are interested in the Jonas tutorial that Hashi's talking about, and you weren't here for part 1 of the stream, the link is in the chat.
The link is
Excellent.
in the chat. The link is in the chat.
So yeah, so cool. So all we did was, we painted 3 little lines. We went to the vertex map and we said, on the freeze object, instead of none, we'll convert its mode to grow. And now it grows, which is great. But I want to add a little bit more excitement to the growth. And so I'm going to right click here in my fields tab and I'm going to say new field. I want a random field. And at first, here's what the random field looks like. It applies it up top on like in front of everything. But I actually want the random field to be part of the way the radius unfolds. So watch when I play this version back. You see how it's adding. Look at the way it grows now. This is even more successful than my...
That looks great. It's got that organic kind of crawling motion. Now, if you animate the noise, it will eventually cover everything. But if you want to, because the noise will be changing, so then it will eventually fill up stuff. Or you can leave it non-animated and have it just leave those blank spaces. Which way you go might depend, will depend on how the look that your director, producer, or whoever is calling for.
Exactly. And what's fun about a lot of these is you have the ability to, like with fields, you can, scale and move them around, and you can also remap them. Remapping is very powerful. Like you can just take.
Oh yeah, it's just like Photoshop or After Effects, but for how stuff works on vertex maps. Plus the addition of this growth, which you can't do natively. It's just it's so great. Michael Pollack says this is really cool. I would have made this more complicated. Yeah, Fields lets you do so many things. Like it's the greatest thing that happened to cinema in a very long time since the MoGraph module. I would say.
Behold.
Like in fact,
back when you could buy the modules separately.
Like what Michael said earlier, like I could keyframe the inner offset to be at 0. And what that means is, with this growth effect, by the way, you do need to start at the first frame and play through to see how it will work. Otherwise, it will zero out and start from whatever frame you're on. But yeah, you can see that the noise pattern didn't quite fill in some of these spaces, which is cool because it makes it organic-like. But it could be good to set like a keyframe on the inner offset of it or something like that. Let's scroll a little bit further. And here I'll turn the inner offset to that. And so now it's going to fill in everything instead of doing a soft gradation from visible to not visible. So if I scroll this back and now I press play, if I set my keyframes properly, did I actually set a keyframe for the second one? No, I didn't. Set a keyframe here for that. There we go.
Matthew Law, I don't know if you're watching the show live right now, but I appreciate your comment in the Motion Design Artists Slack. Matthew Law posted just in the Raves and Rants channel, just posted a bunch of dancing emojis with the with the phrase CC ball action in it. And I appreciate the reference.
CC ball action.
So why isn't it
Why are we so
okay.
quiet when it's over? It always when it's over. It's like the silence you have when
it's like you're waiting for the conductor to put his hands down. You know,
it feels more like when your kid like keeps being annoying when you've asked them not to be, and they do something and you're just silent.
Yours don't just stop.
No, don't tell me that.
Did you tell them that that if you just stop?
No, mine aren't annoying. Mine are funny every time.
Funny and they stay fresh.
Just like we do.
CC ball.
Just like we do.
Stay fresh.
Like these fresh
that's
beats.
The CC ball action tagline. Stay fresh. Sorry.
So yeah, like this is pretty cool. So we've created this cool vertex map. So it does that. One of the things that's a little bit weird that it does is, it's filling up this weird polycam shape, and so when it hits the edges of those, it's just going to stop dead, and I don't love that. So one thing that I can do is I can just go click on my object again, ignoring that vertex tag, and I can add a new one. And on this one, I'm going to paint a little shape kind of like this. I should make it a little bit more detailed. Make a smaller brush, do some little crags and things like that. And then I'm also going to go to the tool that I'm using, the paint tool, and instead of absolute mode, I'm going to switch it to smoothing mode. Absolute mode. And now I can just click on this and look at this and smooth out what I've done at the edges. And now I have two vertex maps. I have this cool one, which because of this weird polycam photogrammetry, it ends up with these actually weird organic things in it anyway. But if I go back to my first one, which is the ice growth one, in fact, I can even name this, which would be a good idea. I'll call this the ice growth.
Ice growth.
Vertex map. And then this one I'll call the edges. And now if I go over to my vertex map here, since I'm using fields, one type of field is a vertex map. So I can have this property going here, and then I can drag that edges thing here into it.
I will say, Hashi made a point that he moved past real quick. You need to rename these vertex maps, or things will get confusing.
Things do get confusing for you, and I think for the program. Especially one of the next things I'm going to do, you need unique naming for. Otherwise, it'll sort of like with After Effects, it would, if you have the layer, or if you have an expression link where you name a specific layer, and then you change the layer name, or you duplicate null1 too many times, it gets confused. So I've named these, and all you do to do that is you go to the basic properties of it and call one ice growth, call this one edges, and then here I can see very clearly when I go to the fields of my vertex map that I have the edges tag copied in from there. And for the blending mode on this field, I'm going to tell that to be subtract. So now when I play through this, see this cool icy growth, but when it gets to the edges, it's going to hit my subtract mask. So now I have these kind of like neat broken up shapes at the edge here, which is cool. And in fact, I could even go back to this. There, now I want that map to, one thing that I'm doing that I unconsciously do, but I'll try to say out loud, you can grab, your recent tools right here, which I didn't know until like a few weeks ago. So many things that I don't catch on to very quickly. But yeah, whatever you've been using recently, especially if you're sculpting or doing something that's kind of repetitive, but you got to dive back and forth between tools, go to your paint tool right there, which will pop up its properties here. And now I'm going to switch it from smooth to add. You can basically set the opacity for how strong you want it to paint. I'm just going to leave it at 100 for now and paint a little shape like that to get something kind of cool. And then if I go back, you can see the combination of these things. So they're all interactive, and you can sort of keep on adding fields to do different things. And one of the different things you can do with fields is this thing. Check this out. I'm going to create you'll remember that this is the projected texture on this one. So I'm going to duplicate this whole geometry right here, but I'm going to delete my random fields, and I'm going to delete the vertex tags and this specific material from it. I just want to be able to see this thing, and let's add a new material to put on it. Let's do a new default material for now, and I'm going to drag it onto here so I can see. Oh, sorry, I put it behind my background. Oh, and behind this one, which I've got to make invisible now. All right, let's rename a few of these so that it's a little bit less confusing. Sorry. I'm going to call this the vertex and projection map. So we'll put all of our vertex tags and the projection maps on this, and this one is going to be called the actual ice. I don't know. So for my actual ice, I'm going to go over to the asset browser, which, sorry, I'm trying to use the new layout, and I keep on, isn't it right here? Where's my...
Which layout are you in?
I'm in standard. Do I need to go to model? Where's my asset browse?
While you look for that, real quick, I'm just going to give it what I've been doing.
All your hot corners are gone.
While Hashi looks for his hot corners, this is what I've been up to over here.
It almost needs no other animation.
No, I honestly don't think it needs any. So I started painting out Venkman. Here's the thing. So can you see my Photoshop?
Yeah.
Yes.
I assume.
So I went to do generative fill to paint him out and to paint out his head.
Part of your Photoshop.
What? What's that?
So we see part of your Photoshop. The panels are cut off on the right side and
that's
the bottom.
Okay.
But
it's better you just see the results. So this is I was creating reference frames for content aware fill and using generative fill and Photoshop to do that. The first result I got was this one, which just put a weird metal helmet on him, which I think is pretty great.
It's like our But With Mando channel.
100%. The other one was pretty great. It really only wanted to give him heads and faces.
The head of...
There's like a little David Cross in there, right there. But it makes me kind of want to lock down his head and just do this.
Man.
It sounds like that's what I'm going to do now. Back to you, Hosh. Did you find your hot corners?
I didn't find my hot corners, but I'm just going to switch to an old layout real quick just because I know my asset browser is right here. And then here in Asset Browser, I'm just going to look for let's look for ice. Actually, we'll specifically go to materials. And let's see, there's this snow and ice kind of one. Let's just try that. I'm going to
That's why, because you had the new layouts turned on. Old layouts don't have the hot corners. That's why. It was just the other way around. I was thinking you had the old layouts turned on. Yeah.
I thought it did too.
Yeah. That's easy peasy. That's what I get for not looking at the
lemon squeezy.
This sharp view. So here's interesting behind the scenes. If I look at just Hashi's screen, I see it all crisp and clear. If I look at it via Seth's stream back to me via Skype, is blurry. So
Interesting.
That's why I couldn't see it.
That's interesting because in OBS it is not blurry. It is just fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all get to know that it's super sharp. Take that. I feel like it ends up sharp on the
I hope it's going to YouTube sharp and not inhibited by a thing that killed our feed earlier.
When I go back to most streams, it does look like it does update to the 1080 and crisp-ish. So I'm going to let's put this texture on here for a moment, and so let's see. What am I saying? I'm saying I've dragged this asset browser Snow onto the actual ice thing here. I'm going to close my asset browser again and just go to the materials for a moment. And on this Snow and ice thing, it has all of its own little ideas of what should be happening, but I want to modify them specifically by going to the alpha channel here and enabling the alpha channel. Then in alpha channel under texture, I can say effects, vertex map. And now click on the vertex map. It'll say, what shader do you want to use? And I'm going to say, I want to use this ice growth one. All right, so now we step back and let's see here. What have I done? Vertex map. All right, now we're going to add... Let's see, why is that? Oh, is it? No, it should be enabled, right? Oh, I need to animate the preview. Classic. See, that was all a callback, so we could talk about this again. We've got to go to our Snow and Ice, and then we've got to go to the Alpha panel. Click on that, and then under... Where was that property again? Oh, viewport. Animate preview. Thank you. So now... Oh no. There we go. Okay, let's go back to frame 1. And hide that. What is happening here? I have... Turn off these other properties for a second. Something that I swear works is not working now. Image alpha, soft. Okay, ice growth is there. Invert? No. Oh no, Michael, what is going on? What have I done?
What's wrong? What's happening?
I'm trying to... Let me just start with a new texture overall. Sorry, everyone. I hate when things you think you know don't work out. But yeah, once again, Jonas has you covered. I thought that if I had something like this, I could say for the texture, use effects.
Just make it like really
vertex map. And then under the vertex map setting, I could say
in the color or the.
Oh, maybe I can't use.
Put in the color.
Oh, I need to use a color. Do I need to use a color mapper?
Yes.
Whoops. I'm sorry.
Go back in there. If you're trying to do it in the color, go into the color channel. No. I was saying do it in the alpha. Doing the alpha should work.
I do want to do it in the alpha, but I think what I needed to do is instead of the vertex map, I needed to do a colorizer because it's using a black and white here.
Oh, I got you.
And if I go to the colorizer for its shader, it's the vertex map. And I click on this one, and it's the growth. Is that right?
Well, hit render and find out. There's a little render button on top of your.
You know what? We're gonna go to the one that I've made before, just to double see what's going on.
By the way, update.
Santaris
Photoshop
asks,
does not want to erase Bill Murray's head. It only wants to give him new heads.
I mean, no one does.
Have you told it what to get? Have you told it what to give, or are you just trying to blank
erase? When I write headless, it says, "No, you're trying to create bad things." So I don't know what to.
In that voice.
No. Seth, yes. You tell it what you want it to create. It doesn't need to know what is there before, so you need to say wall with curtains or something like that.
I don't need to. I've never needed to do that. What wall with proton pack with no head? Like,
you have to say what it wants to put in the hole. You just have to.
Oh, really, Michael?
That's what they say.
Okay, I'll figure something out.
Yeah, if it sees a collar, it's going to make a head. All right, let's see what was going on over here. Vertex map,
wow.
Soft, and
it doesn't fail to give me cool results. Is the thing.
I mean, you can use the remove tool, which is specifically knows to remove things. Well.
What's that?
There's the remove tool. Sorry, Santiares. What are we making? Well, Seth is taking Ghostbusters and making a Velociraptor out of it.
Well, right now I'm making it into this guy.
Well, yes, we decided to make it to this guy. Hashi is working on showing off some visual effects from the Ghostbusters Frozen Kingdom trailer.
Wait, how do I remove again?
There's a whole remove tool.
Where is it?
Somewhere. Oh, crap. Let me Google it.
Yeah.
All right. If you want to... Is it under the eraser?
There, remove
It's under
tool.
the spot healing brush. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to see if it works. Boobity bop. I should have gotten the brush bigger. Whoops. Okay.
Try doing individual, do like a thick stroke on the area where there's the curtain, and then after that do...
Well, first let's see what it does like this. Removing area.
I mean, in theory, it shouldn't be trying to generate something new. It should be removing.
You did it, Michael. Thanks a lot.
It's so cute. It's like a little costume where you have a little
Yes, we're all proud.
Invisible Man, cardboard head.
All right.
Cardboard shoulders.
Back to your actual important things, Hosh. Go for it.
All right. I don't know where I went wrong in the other setup. Because what was supposed to happen was that in my snow and icy texture, under the alpha channel, I was supposed to have a vertex map, which was my vertex map over there. And when I have it selected, here's what it was supposed to happen. And I might have been doing something silly. But look at this. So now we have the alpha channel is looking to the vertex map to decide where it goes, which is great.
Now, we do need to mention something here. This is all being driven by a vertex map, which means it won't work on a cube that doesn't have any subdivisions in it. This is based on each vertex, that is every point on the mesh has a value between 0 and 1. So if you've got a model that doesn't have even geometry, you can use the remesh tool to and then crank up the amount of polygons. You can reduce or add numbers of polygons in the remesh tool, or any other method that you know of in Cinema 4D, like the subdivisions and cloth object subdivisions and all these other things you can do to add subdivisions to a model.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's a very, very good point. And I actually got some kind of weak results initially because of that, where I got let's see, maybe this is one. Let's see. I think, let me go to this icy field here, and I'll switch the alpha map for the unsmoothed copy. So let's see, NA. Okay, so here, if I preview one that's a little bit crisper, once you get to these areas where you see there are these little holes like that, when those render, it's really clear that they're the vertices, like, the polygons individually not being turned on. Even though here in the preview, they looked kind of softer, but you can see back here, some of these shapes are very obviously squares. It's sort of like your voxel count for fire or something like that. So just what Michael was saying is a way that you could improve this texture. And often photogrammetry comes in with a lot of points, and then they're very irregular. So you actually do end up getting some weird and cool spread patterns like we did in this case. And so you just sort of want to, we're trying to figure out, what is the best in between. So anyway, let me go back to where I'm just looking at the vertex map spread that we came up with, because it's so fun. I can just watch this forever. So one of the other fun things that a vertex map can do is, say we had something like, let's see, I'm going to create a new comp just so I can see clearly. Let's create a cone, just like that. And then I'm going to go to the cone properties, and I'm going to tell it to be oriented +Z. And you'll see why we do that later. Let's turn the top. We'll keep the top radius at 0. We'll put the bottom radius to something a little bit more spiky, like that. And then I'm going to, I want this to be kind of low poly. So let's just say 2 height segments and maybe 6 rotation. Looks like a little crystal, right? And in fact, I'm even going to commit to this crystal. Let's make it geometry by tapping the C key. And then I actually want to grab the axis tool, because I would like the bottom of the spike to be the origin of it. And then I'm going to quickly just move it to be there. Actually, I don't think I needed to do that last step. But now I'll grab this cone, I'll bring it back over into this tracked shot here, and I'll paste it. And that's a very, very big spike. We don't need a spike that big. Let's make the spike a little bit smaller. And now that it is smaller, let me try to clear up this viewport a little bit. We have the cone now, and we have our vertex maps, and we have the surface material. And the motion tracker. The motion tracker I can mostly hide, because we don't need to see any of its stuff cluttering up here anymore. So let's go to our little Michael, my words are not here. We're going to add a cloner to the scene, all right? And when we add a cloner to the scene, we're going to grab that, and we're going to go to its properties, and instead of grid, I'm going to say I want it to be from an object, and from which object? I want it to be from the, I'm going to say actual ice is what I'm going to go with for now. I could have used either copy of that, to be fair.
Hey, Michael, I'd like to answer that cloud question at some point, just whenever you get a chance.
Nice. And then I'm going to quickly drag
you want to answer a cloud question whenever I get a chance?
No, whenever I get a chance. Sorry, I could have just written that in Slack. I saw a comment from someone whose name I don't know how to pronounce about creating realistic pink clouds. They're asking in Cinema 4D and also VFX. I'd love more information about.
Yeah. Anton, possibly? Is that how you pronounce your name? Hey, tell us how you pronounce your name, please, there, sir.
But then also tell us your goals. Are you integrating them into live action footage? I have a very specific answer based on what your intent is. But while we wait on that, I'm sorry, Hashi, continue, buddy. That was me.
Yes, look at the screen. If you asked a question in the chat recently, and this is you, 1, tell us how to pronounce your name, and 2, clarify exactly what you mean by realistic pink clouds, because we can potentially have answers for you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, because you've been doing a bunch of realistic pink clouds over there. So I've added a cloner to the scene, and for the object, I've said, use the that map that we were using, and then I'm going to drag the cone into that cloner, and then on the count for the cloner, I'm just going to turn it up. And now watch.
The count.
Look at this. You're creating a little it's like a little cactus house.
Little cactus house. Ooh.
A little cactus house. So look at this. So now we've added spikes to it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Get it. Well, actually, let's do a few more things since we're here. I'm going to select the cloner here, and then I'm going to go over to, let's see, what am I looking for? I'm looking for my some MoGraph effectors, right?
What are you trying to do? You're trying to randomize their rotation?
I want to randomize rotation, and I want to set their visibility with a
scale. You probably want to scale them in, right?
Yeah. So let's.
So you want a plane effector for the scale, which you would be driving by the vertex map, I assume. But you also want to randomize the scale so not all quite the same size.
That's a good idea. So let's start with the. We'll add a random effect, and now we've got spikes of all different sizes. I'm going to grab the original particle cone and just turn it down so we just have a little bit more spread out little sections like that. And then I'm going to go, let me add more just so it's as visible as possible. That's pretty good. So now we have spikes all over the place. Some of these ones that are up here in the air, I don't know where they're coming from. There might be some garbage geometry in my photo scan. So maybe I will go to, what if I went to my ice thing and added a smoother to it? Would that help?
Possibly. Michael Powlick says these new anti-squatter deterrents are getting ridiculous. And Alonso Perez Yaksic says, how would you approach somebody falling back on a rock and breaking a neck? Honestly,
Carefully.
in real life, a broken
no
neck
prints,
isn't that visible. So you'd probably want to mostly sound design. Just give it that little nice neck cracking sound. But really, that's all you would really need to do.
We've done some fun neck cracking on this show before. The Death Becomes Her episode specifically, I think.
Falling on a rock and cracking their neck.
This story doesn't add up at all. Where are you? Don't leave town.
Well, I'm thinking you could do a green pillow or something, honestly. Replace it with a rock and post. And you could like slightly distort or warp or manipulate the head for a couple frames to like, it just depends on what angle. I just don't know what that's looks like or is like. I tell you what I do understand and know what it's like, which is this guy who, I don't know how much harder I want to work on this comp here, but there he is.
I think that's pretty good. I feel like this is in the Wes Anderson version like this. Like he would never say anything.
It's like Kumar, but
clearly is the one that's the most competent. Like
yes.
While the other guys are like smoking and destroying maid carts, like he'll just be like diligently walking around, fixing their mistakes, smoothing things over with the mayor.
I'll have to work on the lighting on him, but already like this raptor, and I'm not even seeing the detailed eyes and everything here, but it's a fun raptor.
It's a fun raptor. It feels like the flavor of our old raptor, but you can get much higher detail in it. Those are all technical terms.
Alonso, check out the Death Becomes Her episode after the stream is over. Link is in the chat if you want some little more discussions on neck breaking effects.
Who wants to talk about necks breaking?
Breakneck speed.
Whoa, that didn't do anything. Why didn't that? Oh, I see.
What's your process here? What are you doing?
No one knows. I don't, man. I
answered a no, man.
I've tuned in so hard to this while you've been so perfect, like eloquently describing your process. I've not labeled anything. I don't remember what I did in this comp. I've just been like following every little, like, oh, maybe I'll do a raptor. Oh, maybe that guy's funny. I'll do that. And just follow, like doing whatever I felt like in the moment. And now I'm suddenly looking and going, wait, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm going to do for the next 30 minutes.
Don't discount that ability, because the whole point of you being able to do that is you're actually quite expertly and like absent-mindedly running through a bunch of different effects tracking things, adding visual effects, doing stuff to the point that you can just be iterating and brainstorming visually, actively. And that's the whole point of practicing and learning to master any specific software or or discipline. Just like the fact that you can play around in it now is great. That's the whole point of the show, is to show that if you learn enough, you can be idiots like us.
Idiots like us. It's going to be tricky trying to like bring that proton pack. I just got to do a lot of masking and stuff here to keep the clean. I've got a, let's see.
No, I see what you mean.
I've got a clean like background back here.
Looks like it becomes a stormtrooper, that alpha right there.
And then
like a stormtrooper that's brought some bread over to your house.
That is 100% a stormtrooper that's brought a big baguette.
Gifts from the Empire. My wife made them.
Wow.
You don't have to eat it.
Oh, your wife's sourdough is incredible. So I've got to figure out how to bring that. Well, maybe not. Maybe that raptor will cover him up pretty well.
I did try to arrange this raptor's neck so what happened with our other raptor was that there was a lot of weird space that you had to erase around a head.
Wait, you had a brilliant thing you did. Maybe not. I'm sorry. You keep talking while I
one thing that I would one thing you can do is you could liquefy in.
Yep.
Like you could just do that.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is
we're just pushing pixels around a screen anyway.
This is so stupid. I could literally just get the original plate.
Put the raptor on top. See how much? So you just need a little teeny bit. So now that you have a 3D null, right?
No, I do have a 3D null. Holy crap.
You use that thing's mat and just choke it out a little bit, just from the raptor.
Why don't I choke out the mat?
Make a copy of the raptor head, and then do a matte choker that's negative until it covers up.
Okay, could do
Bill
that.
Murray's.
Could do that. Could also do this, where I parent the bulge center. Oh yeah, to the. I'm over here.
I'm gonna click and drag and mid pick whip.
Do a drop. I've got like drums attached to my back, cymbals on my chest. Okay. To that, and I can't see it over there, but 2 comp 000. Okay, well that's great already.
That's perfect. It became Roberto Benigni's caricature.
It does. So then we'll go to bulge height. Oh, that's that. Horizontal radius will make the size of his head, and we'll invert the bulge.
He's an astronaut now. And
right there we have.
There's your Beetlejuice tutorial. Hey, what's going on?
It's true.
That's so funny.
Oh my gosh.
Michael Pawlak says, but that a man's reach should exceed his grasp of, or what's a heaven for. But more importantly, Matthew Smith is wondering, where do we get the Whirly Scripts UI panel?
You don't get it, but Hashi and I hopefully this year. Not this year.
We made a whole Slack channel about it and everything.
And there's like 2 things.
Sometime this year or next year or maybe the year after that.
Yes. You will get not a Whirly Scripts panel, but a VFX and Chill panel. We have every intent to create the ultimate.
It's going to be very chill.
Yeah.
One button should just play your chill beats, please.
Now, there will definitely be a drops like.
There'll be a lo-fi chill beats that you can VFX to.
I am proud the Whirly Scripts code here doesn't rely on any external scripts. It's now entirely self-contained, which
nice. It's completely self-aware.
It's also completely self-aware, so I'm very scared. Oh my god! You
remember Brainstorm or whatever it was called in After Effects?
Yeah, old After Effects. There was a Brainstorm option that would randomize parameters.
It would just like move this over here and scale it down and move that over there.
And you could go down a rabbit trail of more towards a certain thing. And it was a way to, it was before they separated the thing from the thing, as they called it in CC 2015, when the UI and the renderer were separated from each other, which destroyed a bunch of stuff that people were like, yeah, but also it built the framework for like the good multi-frame rendering we now have and a bunch of other things to make After Effects so much faster to work with that we now have. Because people forget how much slower it was to work with stuff in the older versions. But anyway, it doesn't matter. When they separated the thing from the thing, Brainstorm just kind of wasn't compatible with the new framework, and they just never brought it back because nobody used it. But a few people used it, and they're very sad it's gone.
Hashi, what did you want me to do with this matte choker? Because it's not doing anything.
So now use that matte choker as the as a matte for your background, your clean plate.
Oh, right. So the trick here, I have to create 2 clean plates, and I know how to create one. I already have, which is the wall. Because when I did content,
you have the wall, but you don't have the.
I have the wall, but I don't have the proton pack in the chest. I don't exactly the body. I don't quite know how to do that off the top of my head. I mean, I know a couple ways.
This is a good problem. This is a good problem. Like, okay, show your layers again, because this is actually a good compositing question.
Yeah.
In general.
Let me pull some of the stuff out of here. So.
So like from the top, we are replacing this actor's face with a digital character, and we have several different assets. You were able to generate a background curtain and wall plate, so just basically the empty plate of this whole thing, which is wonderful, but it does not have Bill Murray, you can add the Bill Murray back on top, but you don't have the section behind Bill Murray's head where there's the proton pack, and it becomes it's very close to where the raptor's head is going to be, but not quite. So there's just this like overlap.
Yeah. So and it's not very good running. So it's about figuring out how to erase this part of his head. I mean, I could just, honestly, at this case, depending on how much that raptor's covering up, let me turn off the.
Yeah, I often just I would put in a 3D solid with a mask on it that's parented to that.
Now, hang on, Seth, before you get too deep, Anton, or Antony, as he says we could call them,
hey, Antony.
Came back and said that they already have tracking of a city. They want beautiful pink clouds so they can integrate into video of a nighttime city. They already have tracking of the city. The most important problem is using pink clouds.
This is the answer. This is the question.
Photoshop.
Yes, this is what I was hoping for. Generate in Photoshop, or just go to Unsplash and find a pink sky, download it, and track it in. Honestly, like, you're the most convincing looking, like, the simplest solution is often the right one. And unless you're flying past
the clouds in the sky, or some way have parallax per cloud, like the cloud.
Is there any atmosphere or fog that needs to come from them?
Just find stills of clouds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you have super comp, it makes it easier to integrate those clouds into your scene. So if you have a Red Giant's VFX tool, super comp really helps. But don't
credit sequence from the first sketch, you did a really good behind the scenes on, and also my Wonder Woman invisible jet. I create some fake clouds that are using super comp to create them, and they ended up great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, also there's a quick tour of super comp video that I do a little bit of that with.
Nice. So I honestly wonder here now, I'm looking at it, if I could just...
Like, can you have a copy of this null in here? Because I feel like this is where I end up all the time. Like, I have the full clean empty background plate, and then so I'll attach a solid to that null.
You're right. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Perfect.
Let's just go boop like this. And
exactly.
I'm gonna parent position. What do I do here?
Shift select, make it 3D, and then
make it 3D. Yeah. Smart. You're right. Just do
if it is like way. If that's the 3D null.
Yeah. and then shift drag, holding shift on the pick whip and dragging it to a null will I theoretically place it.
We did it backwards.
Huh?
I just realized, we should have done that first and then drawn the mask. But
we should have.
We're there already.
Holding shift and dragging a pick whip will not only parent it will move the parented item to the parent's position and to transform settings. It will copy the transform setting. So where's his head? Right here. Let's see what happens now.
Well, now that it's here, go ahead and use that as the mat for the background plate, so you can see live what's happening.
I'm actually I thought I was going to use it as the mask for the roto. I was thinking.
Oh yeah, I see.
I'm going to be using SuperComp, so I got to figure out the roto. I'll worry about SuperComp later. So.
SuperComp.
Let's do this inverted. Okay, we're close.
Look at that. Paint out tips, baby.
I can probably just add. Where's my collar? Is that my collar? Nope. Is that my collar? Yep. Now I can just add a proton pack back in, a simple, flat recreation of it.
Photo of that.
Yeah, totally. We got 15 minutes left. What are you going to do?
I can show a couple little more things on this spike, on this little spiky business. So let's see. So to put this all in context, we created the vertex maps, as you'll recall, for this surface, and then we created a little cone, and we added a cloner, and we put the cone in there. So now we have clones of this little spike all over the surface. But we want to art direct it a little bit more. So I can do some stuff like this. I can go and add a random effector, and you'll see right away it randomized stuff. But if I go to the random thing itself, I can go over here and uncheck position, because I actually don't want the position to change. I want them to be married to the ground like that. But in its properties, I do want to adjust the scale. So I'll check scale, and I'll check uniform scale, because basically if I scale these up or down, and they're still just spikes, like that. So I want about this much variety in the size of these spikes. And I'm going to grab the original cone and shrink it down a little bit more. Let me see how much randomness I'm getting there. I feel like it's not a lot of... I'm getting the variety that I want. Here, maybe like that. There we go. So now some different sized ones. Then I'm going to also check the box for rotation and add just a little bit of offset in a couple of different directions. Z doesn't matter because it just spins them in place. I guess I can try that in case.
Now, Hashi, I've got a question for you. Are you going to be moving these just up in each clone's y-axis or z-axis? I guess.
How are you going to offset these
with your plane effector, or are you going to be scaling them up?
I'm not positive which way I want to do it yet. Actually,
you could.
One thing that's kind of weird. What happens if I right now?
I know what you could do. Do the clones have where are their anchor points?
The clone is there right now. They're too far up. Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
I'm thinking using a field to scale them.
You would use a field driven by the vertex map, but potentially delayed behind the ice. So you have the ice grow, and then the spikes
which you could do with a remapper.
Yeah, a remapper or just a delay.
You could also use the plane effector. I think we talked about this last week, where I was like, I do this all the time, and you guys were like, that's the wrong way. But I know that I
think a plane effector is a good way to do this.
I was suggesting a plane effector. You have to drive just what you're driving it by.
Usually what I'll do is I'll create a field like a box, or a linear field, or a box, and then animate the box to come on across.
Let me do instead of us talk.
I want to only talk. I'm going to the
cone. I'm going to the axis transform, and I was noticing that the cone was a little bit above the ground here a little bit, so I'm just moving changing the anchor point to be a little bit lower, so now all of these are actually sticking out through the ground. That fixes a lot of the visual issue that I was having earlier. And then on for the cloner here, I'm also going to add, let's do the plane effector way. We'll go add a plane effector, and on the plane effector, we're going to uncheck position, and we're going to check scale to
you are going to do the scale,
uniform -1. Or actually, no, +1. Wait, no. 0.
You're right.
And then actually, let's do -1, and then we'll invert the map. So
you're good. Yeah.
So you see nothing here, and then we're going to go into the plane effector and say fields, and I'm going to drag in the ice growth field into its fields right there. And then if I go to, let's go back to the plane effector, and I'm going to go to its parameters, and do I want it to be invert?
The easiest way would probably be to go back to your fields on the plane effector and just pop an invert in there. Like just
yes,
hold
that's
go to the
it.
solid.
Thank
I think it's in the
you.
solid section down there.
Yeah, so right here where we dragged in the ice growth, right under there, you can go to new layer, invert. There we go. And now, check it out.
Boom! Ice got spikes.
Ice jumping up like that. It comes out very immediately like that, and which is kind of cool. Ooh, I'm getting a call from downstairs.
Ooh, downstairs.
And
call
my
is coming
friends,
from
I am
inside
going
the
to
house.
actually. It is Jamie's birthday, and so I'll be.
Oh, happy birthday, Jamie!
Why don't we call the show early this week? Because I know you've got to hop off.
I think that we should.
All right.
I feel like well, granted, we did give you a link early on for someone who does this really competently, in a nice, concise tutorial.
In under 2 hours.
But this was fun. I do what we got to in the end when you were solving a few problems with the Raptor reminds me that one of my favorite things to do on the show is just diving into a straight up visual effects shot and trying to figure it out on the way there. So let's try to bring that energy next week.
Oh, I think we can next week.
I think we will.
Speaking of Furiosa, we'll see you guys next week. We're going to be having a lot of fun. We had a pact we wouldn't talk about Furiosa on the show today for fear that we would make it the whole show. Instead, we're going to make it the whole show next week. So tune in. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful week. All right.